Hi. Welcome.
I'm Jared.
I'm George.
And welcome back to Levels of Losers.
Yeah.
Where we like to take our favorite show and video game characters and just debate what kind of character, what alignment would they have if they were a character in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, because that's an important part about the character, about what are they, good, evil, chaotic, lawful, right? So today we're doing both of ours, one of our favorite animes, from Sword Art Online, the main character, Kirito. He's the beater, he's the Black Swordsman, he's the guy in the black hair that all the ladies love. But of course he saves everybody. He saves the day from killer helmets and stuff. Anyways, well, let's talk about, what would he be? Is he lawful, chaotic? Is he lawful good, neutral, whatever? Let's talk about it.
First, looking at it from the lawful versus chaotic spectrum, you got a little bit. We had a little bit of time where we were talking about this. It was kind of hard to determine at first whether or not he was lawful or chaotic. Honestly speaking, he kind of does both at times. Kind of suit his needs, but honestly speaking, I am in the opinion that he's chaotic. If you think about it, he is willing to do what others are not. And to elaborate on that, he realizes that these people, after they beat that first boss, they're starting to fall apart. What little unity that they had worked together, their accomplishment to finally make it past the first floor. And they're starting to fall apart and start to fight with each other. So what does he do? He ends up, revealing that he is a beta tester, and he starts trying to set himself up to be the bad guy. He tries to make himself the target for everyone so that they'll unify against him. And that's where he adopts the title that you mentioned, the beater.
Right.
Because they are accusing him of being a beta tester and a cheater, a beater.
What the hell? If that's true, then you're worse than a beta tester. You're a goddamn cheater, that's what you are!
He's a beta tester and a cheater! He's a feeder!
And from that point on, although he does have a few interactions with others, for the most part, he is a solo player.
Yeah, it's interesting. He, going back to the whole beater thing, you think, most people, they would, maybe try to rally the people, motivate them in a different approach. In the normal way, it would be, trying to become the leader of the group and to then, we did this, let's keep going. But instead, like you say, he decides to do a different approach. Mm-hmm. And you're saying that kind of makes him chaotic, right?
Yeah, he's falling outside the norms. Chaotic doesn't necessarily mean evil. A lot of people tend to associate chaotic with evil, especially if you've played Dungeons and Dragons and you have your chaotic evil alignment characters, oy vey.
Yeah, they're always interesting.
But chaotic doesn't necessarily mean that they're evil. It means that they fall outside the normal spectrum. They are not prone to follow the laws. They intend to follow their own ideals.
Yeah, because there's maybe a status quo or general guidelines that everyone kind of follows, but he doesn't do that, right? And so I can see the argument, but at the same time, looking later, in the anime when he's facing off with Heathcliff, right? When they have the duel, which is super cool, right? I think he's lawful in that respect because he's very true to his word. Where he, when they make the deal, and he promises that, you know what, if I lose, I'll join your guild. And that's totally against all his ideas, everything he's ever wanted to do, but he's you know what, this is my word is my bond. And so therefore I think that makes him lawful in a sense. And he does that throughout the anime, that's just one instance, but whenever he makes a promise, he's always keeping it.
All right. And I'd be willing to give him that. He is definitely a really nice guy, and he may not live by the same code as everyone else, but he does have his own form of honor, I guess would be a good way to put it. Mm-hmm. But I still feel he falls on the chaotic spectrum because, that's one thing, but think of how many times as well where he has these encounters with other people and he uses them for his own gain or advantage. I mean, albeit he doesn't use them and abuse them. He still treats them right.
Yeah, right.
But, like, for example, Silica. This girl, she has that little pet dragon and it dies, and he goes out of his way to help her. But we find out later the entire point is he was using her as bait so he could draw out those other people that he had been commissioned to help. To stop.
ごめんな、シリカ。君をおとりにするようなことになっちゃって。
Yeah.
And true, he didn't put her in harm's way. He was trying to protect her the entire time, but she was a means to an end.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and
like you think about what if he was lawful in that situation? He probably wouldn't do that.
Exactly.
So he's willing to go a little bit beyond.
Yeah. And it wasn't just that either.
Yeah.
If you take it then to the Alfheim Online arc, when he's trying to rescue Asuna, he ends up creating peace between all these different factions, and he takes advantage of the fact that two of these factions are trying to break in. And he absolutely uses them. He's willing to push them beyond their limits, even though he knows they're going to lose, just so that he can break in. He doesn't try to...
Yeah, that's true. I remember that.
Yeah, he is completely dedicated to his cause, and other people are just assets there. Albeit, he treats them right, but he uses them however he needs to get the job accomplished.
Yeah, so I mean... And so I'm thinking about, I do see the lawful side of Kirito, but there seems to be a lot more that he's doing that's causing to be chaotic, right? I mean, you can say, well, maybe he's neutral then, but, I don't know. At the same time, he's doing more chaotic things than he is lawful.
Yeah, I'll admit, my opening remark in regards to chaotic, where he chose to be the beater, it's a little weak on the chaotic end. One could kind of make a debate either way, but what about when it comes to in Alfheim Online again, when he confronts Sugo? When it gets to the point where he is confronted by this guy who kidnapped his girlfriend and, in his own mind, his wife, he retaliates. He doesn't just rescue Asuna and leave. He doesn't try to turn him in for his crimes. No, what does he do?
He literally tortures him.
Yeah,
to makes him feel pain. To beyond a point that most of us would not be comfortable doing. Right?
Oh, of course.
And that definitely shows an evil side of him. For sure, and definitely chaotic, as well. But I don't know.
Yeah. He doesn't. He refuses to let the law handle it. He tries to handle it himself. And it's for that reason that I feel that's another argument for him being chaotic.
Yeah. But, and then kind of bring a different perspective. And I've mentioned in other conversations, we're in this universe of a video game, right? Where people have to follow the rules a little bit. It's very hard to cheat. But, of course, there are points where he does cheat. But at the same time, he kind of has to follow the rules of, health. Has to follow the rules of leveling up and things like that. So he's kind of forced to follow those laws. But at the same time, just okay, well, that can make him lawful, but it makes me think. But then he does try to get away from those.
Yeah, and whenever he sees something that he feels is an opportunity, he'll follow the rules exactly as far as it gives him the advantage. He is not willing to fight fair if he can avoid it.
Yeah,
because for him, he is all about surviving, making it to the end of this game, and getting everybody home.
It's so true, because they're in this death match. And it's he's not I'm always going to do the right thing all the time, follow the rules. He's no, I'm going to survive till the end, and hopefully save my loved ones.
Yeah.
Hopefully. But sometimes he can't do that, right?
Yep.
And so he has to rely upon instinct, and not so much on honor. Or nobility, right? It's that chivalry, right? It's more about survival, So
that's my arguments for chaotic. And what about you? Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, right. I do see the lawful, but I have to agree with you. There's a lot more chaotic that's going on in his character. That I have to agree with. I agree with you. It's chaotic, for sure.
So chaotic,
but good and evil. Okay, well, obviously he's our main good guy, right? You know, we see him throughout. Like he's helping people, you know, and like who are in situations where they're disadvantaged or like, you know, that there's people picking on them or trying to kill them, right? He's always there to help them, right? And then again in this death match, he's the one trying to do what's the greater good. But at the same time, he's trying to enjoy the moments as well.
今日はアインクラッドで最高の季節のさらに最高の気象設定だ。こんな日に迷宮に潜っちゃもったいない。
You know, and so I see that as a good trait of him.
Oh yeah.
I think ultimately he is good. You know, that's what I think.
Yeah.
But there are times I do recognize he's evil.
Oh yeah, like,
you know,
like we mentioned with Sugo.
Yeah, like actually when you mentioned that, I was like, oh yeah, that.
Like
was
he doesn't just
know?
retaliate and take it into his own hands. He doesn't just confront him, beat him, and then log out. No, what does he do? He turns the pain setting to make the pain block to 0.
Yeah,
and then
man
cuts off his arm. Then he stabs him then he stabs him, cuts him to bits, and then finally delivers the finishing blow. I mean, do you remember how Sugo looked when he confronted him in the real world? That guy was like, not just mentally, but he was physically tortured by that.
Yeah, that was like I couldn't imagine how that felt. Yeah. But
I mean,
that
you could justify evil. He was doing it because of his girlfriend was in trouble, kidnapped, all these other people.
Oh yeah, because if that was your girlfriend or like your wife, you're just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna beat the.
But even if that's what you would justify, does that make it right? I wouldn't say so. Like,
yeah, right. Because it's like, despite like they're still human, you know. Yeah, exactly. It's like that's pretty evil. You know? Like still, you know. Yeah. Even though you may feel justified in doing it, right?
Exactly.
So.
And also, he has killed. I mean, remember Kuralil. I mean, true, again, he was trying to save Asuna in that moment, but he actually delivers a fatal blow that ends Kuralil's life.
Again, yeah, and, you know, yeah, again, like, what are the reasons he's killing in those instances, right? He kind of loses himself sometimes. Yeah. But what's amazing, though, about him, I think a trait that we love about him, is he's able to go back to himself and go back to his purpose, you know, of like protecting the ones he loves and to bring about the greater good.
Exactly.
You know?
In fact, the only reason we really talked about the evil is because we had brought it up. Like, he had done some bad things, but just because he had done bad things doesn't make him necessarily, like, sorry, to quote Wreck-It Ralph, you are bad guy. That does not make you bad guy.
Bad guy.
Say, Zangief, you are bad guy. But this does not mean you're bad guy.
He does do some bad things. It's not going to change that he killed Kuralil and he took it too far with Sugo. But like you had mentioned, he generally goes out of his way to make sure that he does the right thing. And even if he does take advantage of certain aspects of the game or he uses people to further his own agenda, he's not willing to do so at the cost of their own life. I mean, he's even willing to sacrifice his own life if it means protecting someone else.
It is true. He's so awesome. You're like, I wish he was my friend. If I had friends.
Well.
But anyways, there was a point, though, remember we were talking about this a little bit, and I brought up the, remember that first guild he was in?
Yes.
Where they're all a little bit lower, and he was much higher level? He hides it from them. And, like, it would have been so much better if he was just the share, right? But, you know, of course, he was scared. Like, there's a lot of factors. He was scared, you know, but he wanted to help these people. But what were the consequences? All these people die. And it's like, was that his fault?
I'd have to say that no,
you
not
know,
really. Like,
because if it was his fault, would that make him evil? But, you know, you're kind of saying, you're talking about before, maybe, like, you know.
To hold him accountable for that, like, true. Maybe he should have told them the truth. But he wasn't doing it in an attempt to lead them to their deaths. I mean, that's like saying that because you chose to eat a grilled cheese sandwich today, that another cow got killed somewhere. Are you accountable for that cow? And yes, I know. Cheese does not require the cow to die. Please do not try it and bring that up. I know, but I'm trying to make a point. But it's like,
okay,
is he?
We don't mess with cheese though. Cheese is really good.
Yeah, but is he really accountable for those people dying? Like, is he really considered evil for those people dying just because he didn't tell the truth? He couldn't have known that that was going to be a result, a consequence. It was, but it's not like he knew it. There was no way he could have known. There's no way he could expect that because you fibbed a little in order to save your own skin, like at work, that maybe someone else got in a car crash. And he honestly felt super bad about that because he realized the truth.
Yeah, and I mean, that's tough because, I mean, you think about it too, like, nowadays, what if you're like in the car accident? What if in your, your negligence or like you're not at foresight or whatever, like you weren't foreseeing the consequences? You hit a child, and they die, right? In those cases, it's like you're still held accountable, right? No, I'm not saying that makes you a bad or evil person. But you have to deal with those consequences. But when it comes to alignment, though, we're like, okay, like, we're thinking about his moral code of good and evil and stuff.
In fact,
I think in some ways, like, does he need to be accountable? Does that make him evil? And it's a question I don't know. Maybe you guys can help us understand, in the comments or something.
Exactly.
But it's something I think it's important to bring up because not only is it a good lesson for us, but it deters him a little bit from his alignment a little bit.
Exactly.
So,
but in light of this particular argument, we're trying to go off of facts.
Yeah, exactly.
And not just like political arguments or like moral arguments, because everyone is entitled to their own opinions. And when we look at it from the good versus evil spectrum and like the idea that people think good and evil, true, he killed Kirito, but it was to protect Asuna, not because he was trying to. He was desperate, and it ended up being the case. True, he tortured Sugo, and there's not really an argument to counter that. That was definitely an evil act. But think of all the people he helps out. The blacksmith girl, Celica. He's constantly delving deeper and deeper into the dungeons, pushing himself further and further to get them out of the game. He goes out of his way to save Asuna. He's willing to sacrifice his own skin to protect others. He is constantly showing all these different acts and doing all these different actions in an attempt to do what he believes to be right. I mean, even when it came down to that one scene where like he was fighting with Asuna because they wanted to draw the boss into that town, evacuate the town so that no one would get hurt. He refused because he felt it was morally wrong, even if they were only NPCs.
Yeah.
Like,
and that was you're like, whoa.
Yeah, like,
you're so awesome.
Yeah,
you
like,
think about these NPCs.
This is something where like it could potentially put off people getting back home. For people who don't exist, but he felt it was morally wrong, and he refused to do it. So that's why I have to say good. I don't know, like...
Yeah, it's definitely good. I mean, he's awesome. He does so many good things, good qualities I wish I had. Again, recognizing the evil side, but we all do. I think we all have that side, So I think a conclusion we're going to make then is chaotic.
Yeah, chaotic good.
Chaotic good. Which, if you think about it in the world of like D&D, like I haven't played with a lot of like campaigns where there's a chaotic good person. It's kind of rare sometimes, right? But when there are in the game, it's pretty great that they're there.
Oh yeah,
because they help bring the cause of good.
They're not. They're not the. I believe the archetype is called the rebel.
Yeah,
and like they're the people who they're willing to do the right thing regardless of the consequences. And so generally they're very well liked by the people, and even if you've never played with chaotic good, I've played with some chaotic good characters. They're generally the guy who brings the party together because he can understand like the evil people's viewpoint, but he tries to push them to do the right thing and push them in the correct direction.
So true. But what do you guys think? What do you think about Kirito? Is he the chaotic good, or maybe is he lawful, or is he evil? I mean, tell us in the comments, and we love to hear from you. So,
and remember, if you've got any characters that you would like us to determine the alignment for, just leave them in the comments below, and we would love to do them too. So just remember, we've got 3 rules with that. First, specific universe. Like, you've got multiple Batmans. We use this one a lot, but there are multiple Batmans, and many of them contradict each other. Which one do you want us to cover?
Yeah. And in this video, like with Kirito, we mainly focused on SAO 1, you know, with Ironclad and Elfine. We didn't do Gun Gale. We didn't carry that because it's different. But we could do one later if you want us to, you know. Again, also, you know, we want to make sure it's family appropriate, you know, and stuff like that. What was the other rule?
Yeah, and the third one...
I'm forgetting the other rule.
Yeah. The third one is make sure that we have content to go off of.
That's content, that's right. Background.
Like, you could specify us doing a particular character in Skyrim. But if you want us to do an alignment for, say, Braith, we don't know enough about the kid. How are we supposed to create an alignment for her based on the 3 sentences she uses in the game?
Hey, maybe we could psychoanalyze it.
I'm not going to try.
Yeah. Hey, maybe next time we could do Jared. Let's do alignment for Jared. That's good. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you so much. Please subscribe and like us. I hope you like us. And welcome, you know, thanks for hanging out. So
have a good night.
Awesome.